Good evening, everyone. My name is John, and I'm the event coordinator here at McNally Robinson Booksellers. Before we begin, I would like to acknowledge that the land on which we gather is located here in Treaty 1 territory, the traditional territory of the Anishinabe, Innuak, Anishinabe, Dakota, and Dene peoples, the homeland of the Red River Métis. In addition, of course, McNally Robinson Booksellers itself rests on the land once occupied by the Métis community of Roostertown. We are gathered here tonight to celebrate the launch of 1 Second at a Time, My Pain and Reclamation by Diane Morrisseau and Elisabeth Brannigan. It's my pleasure and privilege to stand here before you just to quickly offer a few words at the beginning of this event, but soon I will turn things over to the people you are truly here to hear from. So thank you for your patience in advance. Before we begin, I would like to invite up Darren Courchene to perform a drum prayer. Eric is from the Saguenay First Nation and comes from a long line of spiritual leaders. His father was Elder George Courchene, a well-known spiritual teacher. He is also a teacher and a healer, and Diane's nephew. He will perform a drum prayer now. Please join me in welcoming him. Thank you, Darren Courchene. Thank you all. I'll just go over a few details of what this evening holds, and then we'll move on to the main program. In just a moment, I'll be inviting up your host for the evening, Darren Courchene. He'll be speaking from this podium here. He'll be introducing tonight's guests. Following that, there'll be a brief presentation from Diane Morrisseau here from the front, and we'll then move along to a conversation that will take place in these chairs to my left. If time permits, we'll also open the floor to questions near the end. I'll have a handheld microphone if that is the case, and we'll circulate just to make sure all at home can hear your questions. And I'll be back at the very end of the event just to go over signing procedure. But for now, I will get out of everyone else's way. We're so very grateful to UBC Press and Purich Books for publishing this book and for helping to make this event a reality. Now, just to say a few quick words about your host for this evening. Darren Courchene, a citizen of the Sag King First Nation, has attended both Red River College and the University of Winnipeg, earning a diploma in Aboriginal Self-Government Administration, a Bachelor of Arts with a double major in Aboriginal Governance and Religious Studies, and a Master of Arts in Indigenous Governance. He has worked in the field of oral history documentation for over 10 years in 2 major projects, which explore the spirit and intent of the treaty negotiations between the representatives of the Anishinabe peoples and the Crown. The Treaty 1 Oral History Project with the Treaty 1 Protection and Implementation Office, as well as the Manitoba Treaties Oral History Project with both the Assembly of Manitoba Chiefs and Treaty Relations Commission of Manitoba. The research he's currently conducting incorporates oral, written, and archival sources to examine the traditional and contemporary roles and responsibilities of leadership in Anishinaabe treaty making and nationhood. Darren has lectured on treaty history, interpretation, negotiation, and implementation in national and international settings, and is currently based at the Sag King Educational Authority. Please join me in giving a very warm welcome to Darren Courchene.
Evening, everyone. I was very apprehensive about coming today and doing this. I had the fortunate opportunity to be granted one of the early copies of the book that we're all here about tonight. It took me a while to read it. It was tough to go through. I could not believe the pain and suffering that one individual had to go through in their life. And what struck me was that she got up every day, that she didn't let it beat her. And it reminded me of something, of every other woman out there who has to go through this alone. And while reading it, don't want to give spoilers, but at the end of every chapter, there's a little spark of light that's given. I wanted to ask the singers to come back up. We're going to do something, and we're going to move away from the agenda for right now. And I'm going to ask my aunt and my mom to help gift this amazing woman a star blanket. Now, there are many teachings out there about the star blanket itself, but tonight, I think it's apropos to share only one part of that the teaching. And the star itself represents that morning star. And it also represents the evening star. It's the first star we see in the morning, and it's the first star we see in the evening. And for Anishinabe, we don't call it the morning star or the evening star. We call it Ikwe-Anum. For those of you who don't understand what Ojibwe means, it's the woman's star. So, Diane, please come forward. my mom and aunt are gonna cover her with this blanket, and the blanket will now help her in her walk. The blanket will now help her in her walk, because what she's about to do by talking is going to be probably very emotional, and so we're going to honor her. I'm going to ask these gentlemen to sing a song for her. Thank you, singers, and thank you, Auntie and Mom, for helping me honor this beautiful, beautiful woman. The book you, if you were lucky enough to get one, that is now sold out. It's an amazing, amazing story. The word I would use to describe it is a great story. And it doesn't mean like a fanciful story or make-believe. This is actually paid way win, this is truth. Which makes it all the more impactful and powerful. The journey that this woman went through, and to not give in, really tells me about the strength of women, all women. And it makes me proud that we come from women. This is where I draw my strength from most of the time. Like my mom and my auntie. When my granny was around, my granny. They were the ones who taught me to be kind, to be gentle. And in the story, you can find that in between the lines. And when she analyzes her story itself, she doesn't make it sound like poor, pitiful me. She's just telling you, this is how it was. And for me, that's far more intriguing a story to read than something that's fanciful and fiction. And I want to say thank you to her for sharing that great story, that truth that she has. And I want to acknowledge that this was a collaboration between two women to tell the story, between Diane and Elisabeth. They worked together very hard to bring this book to fruition. And I don't want to monopolize any more time, so I'm just going to call them up. Diane and Elisabeth, would you please come up and share with us your words and your understandings, and a little bit about why you wrote this book for us. Who would like to go first? Diane. Please come up.
How much time do I have?
Take as much as you want.
I'll be here all night.
We're here all night. Do you want to sit here? No. Where are you going to stand?
I'll stand for now.
Okay.
Hello, everyone. I'd like to thank everyone for coming. It means a lot to me and my family, my friends. Someone's waving over there. Is that my chief? Hi, AJ. One of my Diane Morrisseau is. Anyway, I thank the Creator all the time, every day. I don't forget. Thank the Creator for the life that I was given. To be a strong person today. Someone suggested to me, it was one of the promoters for the book, to read a piece of story in that book. I don't like to read, but I guess word for word what that person said, I'll tell it in the way that I remember. It's a little different than the memory I have in that book. You'll probably read. When I began my journey in the healing, It was a program called Al-Anon that I started to change my life. I was in trouble many times with purposely sometimes to go to jail so I can rest. And the one time I went to court, I thought they would put me in jail, but they didn't. The judge said to me that time, I remember very clearly, I had my two youngest children in the hallway. They were 12 and 11. They're both here, my son Randy, Karen. I told the lawyer, I said, I want to plead guilty. I want to go to jail. My kids are in the hallway, called Children's Aid, they were called that time. So I went into the courtroom went on, and I went and talked to the lawyer. And he came up and talked to me, and that's what I said. So I went in the courtroom, and they stopped court, whoever they were dealing with, and so they did put me to jail for a few days for pre-sentence report. This is exactly what happened. And my cousin picked up my kids, kept them for a week. She passed away not too long ago, my cousin Val. And I remember the judge saying, I don't believe you belong in jail. Your partner, your husband is the one that belongs there, not you. I'm going to give you one chance. Straighten out your life. I want you to see this person. He gave me a name. I believe I was given the address, phone number, and where to go. It was a probation officer. I remember, I don't know how I got there. I guess I must have drove there. And I remember him telling me, he looked in the drawer in the desk and he gave me a pamphlet. Diane, he says, I want you to go to these meetings. If you don't go, you might as well just lay down and die. That's exactly how I felt. There was no way out. I thought, as I tried to commit suicide quite a few times. And at the end, I was planning on how to do it. But I know I was meant to be around to be my story, to tell my story, to help others like me. This program really changed my life, gave me a lot of awareness. I met a lot of people. I had good sponsors. And I always mention Bernalda Wheeler, she's passed on, she's from Saskatchewan, she lived in Winnipeg. She's always encouraged me to write my story to help others like me. But I guess I wasn't ready. I did try a few times, it didn't happen. One person gave up, he couldn't handle my story. And another one, I forget what happened to this, took the story, he stopped. And I figured again, it wasn't meant to be, I guess. I let it go for a while. But I kept on writing. I had a journal, things that would pop in my head. And in my story, if you read it, I don't talk much about my childhood because I don't remember things as a child, not much. But I did write some things I remember, and some memories still pop up that's not on there. My main reason to write my story is to help and give hope to people like me and families, because I know all the dysfunction in my family, how I hurt my children because I wasn't a good mom. I was still focused on surviving and trying to please their father. I did things not you'll read in the book. It wasn't my choice, I was controlled, I was like a robot. And I did these things because I wanted my children to grow up. I knew he would do it to kill our kids. He almost did the night of the hostage holding. It's a week after I finally made a break. It's my restraining orders, anything like that. He didn't even respect them. I couldn't rely on them. I couldn't rely on the police. When I was getting beaten up on the street, he would just say, "She's my wife," and it would drive off. That's why I thought there was no way out. I figured, well, my mom passed when I was a baby. I'm still living, my kids will live. That's the way that I thought. And I know, I said it again, say it again. I'm meant to be around. I'm 82 years old, I'm still here. I always joke about that. The old devil is still around. I have a good friend, a doctor friend, and I confide in him. I tell him a lot of stuff. He knows about my life. You know, I said I had 6 sisters and they all died way younger than me. The oldest, I guess, was 75 and then under, they all passed. Look at me, I said, I'm 81 years old. I just told him that last year. He said, that's because you have your shit together. I know it's important. I still do self-care because I still work with people. It gives me something. That's one of the biggest reasons I wrote the book for my children. To give hope by women. I know what kind of damage can do to the whole family. Mother is very important. Both parents are very important. I was alone. I always felt alone. There's so many things to talk about. Like I said, I could stand here and talk about a lot of stuff. There was a time I couldn't talk to anyone. I always had my head down. I'd wear shades. I couldn't look at anybody in the eye, as I had such a low self-esteem. Today, I'm very confident. Over the years, I've spoke all over the place. I slowed down, of course, now. I don't do those things. And also, I guess one of the things that kept me going, I'm Mindigo Khan, they call it in our culture. Trickster, I'm a backward person. I like to joke around, play tricks on people. But I slowed down quite a bit, I guess, finally. I'm happy. I never thought I would say that. I'm happy. I'm grateful to be alive. Probably after I go sit down over there, oh, I should have said this. I forgot to mention this. This is so important. Is there any questions after? Or? Yeah. If you have any questions, ask me. I might not know all the answers. I'll just ask my friend Bev to tell you. Okay. Maybe I'll sit down now. I'm sore. Why can I sit up here?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Move this way.
This one?
Yeah. I don't wanna.
Like so? Is that it?
Is the cord on the bottom?
On the bottom.
Oh,
I
sorry.
don't know.
There we go.
But they won't see me. That's important.
Do you want to go around this way?
Oh, yeah, sure. You darn tootin'.
Okay.
No, you better hang on to me.
Yeah, we'll walk that way.
And can I just jump over? You should have just jump over.
You're good. There we go.
Can I have that Phoenix before, please? You know, ever since I had oh, it's not on.
Yep.
I don't think.
There we go.
Hello? Yeah. I'm not feeling sorry for myself for crying. I'm just when my nose is Phoenix. Since I had COVID, I've been like this. Hello? No?
Yep.
Wow. I was going to tell you a little story. And I wasn't going to lie, I just forgot. Oh! I was just going to tell you a little story of what happened last winter. Because I was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis, but I have a back problem. And I was in so much pain and I didn't want to use pills, you know. So my youngest son over there, he says, why don't you try, and different people told me about this, what do you call those things again you went and bought for me? Those, you eat,
Edibles.
edibles. Oh my God. So he went He went to the store. Yeah, I said, a lot of people are telling me about these. Yeah, he said, try them, Mom. He said, apparently they work good. Okay, I said, just go and get them from me then. So, oh, I was in so much pain, right? So, so he brings those things, and I didn't know I was supposed to take only a quarter of it. The whole darn thing. I freaked right out. I just was super high. I called the ambulance. I called my niece Joanne. I called my niece. She lived downstairs in an apartment block where I am. And the ambulance came there. They checked everything. Everything was okay. And she told them what happened, what I ate, you know. And I said, oh, you should just sit back there and watch TV. And Joanne's husband, he said, tell Auntie to go lay down and fly. Never again I'm gonna try to do like that. But he bought 2 packs of those things, my son. So after he heard what happened, he took the other one that was on the table. He took them. He said, you're not taking these anymore. I'll give them to my friend. He said, you have to use them. Anyway, I just wanted to tell to break down. I was feeling kind of emotional. You know what? There was a time that I could talk about the pain of what I went through in my life. I'd always cry. I don't anymore, but I still do get emotional. I still sometimes cry, and I still see a psychologist, and I talk to him too. I asked him, why do I still cry when, since 1979, I've been doing a lot of healing work using different resources. Why do I still cry? He said, because the memory is always there. Yeah. So I don't feel too bad now when I shed a tear. I sometimes still do. I handle things more differently now. There's a lot of crises in my life. I lost a lot of people in my life, 2 grandchildren just recently. It was painful, but I understand now. It's much easier. I still have a lot of struggles. I still have emotional, physical pain. I handle it differently. A lot of understanding. One of the things that really helped me in the Al-Anon program when I started, I used to see this prayer often. The serenity prayer. Every word. The wisdom to know the difference. At the end. That's what we get when we suffer a lot. We understand and we do healing. We have wisdom from it. That's why I say, thank the Creator. No, it was meant to be. I don't resent, I don't hate. The person that did these things to us, I don't hate. It was meant to be. It was a hard journey. Yeah. When that big tragedy happened in 1986, what their father did when they went to Stone Mountain and they never get out. A few of my kids felt relieved. I did too. He's never going to hurt anyone anymore. mixed feelings because felt so sorry for the family that was hurt. My children, I call them children, adult children. They had mixed feelings, for feeling relief and feeling guilty because they felt the way they did, and because that was their father. And I again had to talk with them. It's okay to feel the way you do. My children didn't respect me because of the way I was before. But now it's a different story. I'm a different person. I'm proud of who I am. I never thought that I would say that. Because I had a low self-esteem all my life. All my life. I was never good enough. In school, being put down. My mom. I was never good enough. You know, one of the things that I used in my healing journey was Reiki. When I laid on that table, those people that worked on me, it was a couple, a man and a woman. And this woman says to me, Diane, she say, I'm a wonderful, beautiful, worthwhile person. She said it 3 times before I could say it. She said, repeat it, come on, say it. I finally said it and I broke down and I cried because I said it. I teach a lot of times now with clients that I work with how important it is about these positive affirmations are very powerful because that's my experience. I use a lot of my life experience working with people and with my family, the way it was at home. So anyways, there I go again. I started talking and I said, if you have any questions, and there I go again. So
Thank you, Diane, for sharing a little bit. Next, I want to call up Elisabeth to talk a little bit about how they met and the origin of the partnership that you have to bring this book together. Elisabeth, please come.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for being here, for supporting us, and especially for being here for Diane, who's shared her incredible story. And I just want to start off by saying how truly grateful I am that she trusted me with this work. You know, she was talking just now and listening to her, it really brought me back to when we were meeting at my cabin and she was sharing her story with me for the first time and drinking tea and laughing and crying, and it was a really special time. It's an incredibly painful story, but it's an incredibly empowering story too, and a touching story. And I'm just so happy, so grateful that I got to work with her, that I got to know her the way that I have, and that I can call her my friend. So we met at the treatment center in Saging where we were working. I was the teacher there, and we were talking one day after work in my classroom, and she shared a little bit of her story and how she really wanted to write a book about her life and share it with the world so that she could help women and children and families who were going through what she went through, and always with that intent of helping, giving back, and making them not feel alone in that very lonely time, a very painful time that sadly people go through. And she went through it in such a way, and came through to be such a strong, kind person. And so we spoke, and she shared a little bit of her struggles with finding someone who could help her write the story. And while I wasn't a writer, I had a dream to write, and I offered to try and help, to meet with her, to hear her story. And I'm so glad that I did, because it opened up this door to this incredible friendship and opportunity. So here we are. Her story is a book. Her dream has come true. And now her story is there. It's there for anyone who needs it. And I'm so very happy and proud of you. Happy for you, proud of you, Diane. So thank you, everybody, for being here. And I really hope you enjoy the book and share it with someone who needs it. Thank you.
With these ladies sitting up here now, I'm going to open the floor to questions about the book for these ladies. Are there any questions? Okay, we have Chief E.J. Fontaine wants to come and say something.
Hello. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for being here this evening to support one of our beautiful elders here. I want to acknowledge our elders, our knowledge keepers, and community members that have come to the city to witness the launch of Diane's book. Diane is a 82-year-old lady that knows how to party. But Diane, when I grew up in the community, I knew Diane. My dad was her cousin, and I knew her as a very, like she is now, but a very attractive lady when she was younger. Very, very beautiful lady, and she used to come and visit our neighbors, Stanford Fontaine, and Place was her name. And that's where I used to see her when I was just a little boy, and I always admired her. But you know, the story that I haven't read her book, but I know her story just from witnessing things in the community and seeing the life that she was living. And you know, it's a story of strength. It's a story of resilience, and it's a story of you know, that something that happened to too many of our women. Too many of our women went through similar experiences, and you know, it's her strength to be able to tell that story to people in the community and in the world. And I always think that we have Jerry here, my cousin Jerry, who also wrote a book to, you know, we should be having those books in our school, getting our kids to learn what happened and how people have managed to get strength from all that pain, but also the knowledge that Jerry holds and about our history and our culture and those types of things. we need to really cherish those stories. And Diane, the story really actually had a really impact on my own family, because my wife Eva, and, she mentioned that her husband had murdered somebody who was my wife's fiance at the time. And the son I raised from 1.5, that was his dad. And then he never got to see his dad. He was in the womb when Diane's husband gunned down her fiance at the time. So the pain was felt not only in her family but our family too. But that's not. I don't want to take away from Diane's story here, but it's certainly a very moving and touching story. And I want to tell her that from the Saging Chief and Council, we're very proud of her for telling her story, and that we love her and we'll be here to support her in what she's going through. Because it's a traumatic experience again to retell her story and to launch it, and so we need to be there for her to when she needs our support. So thank you, and to our beautiful elders here, I want to acknowledge them, and thank you for being here this evening, and make sure to buy a book. Be great. Oh, and thank you to Elisabeth for being there to push beyond.
You write the book.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chief Ronte.
You hear me? I said, you write the books.
I've been told that we're close to the end of our time together here with these amazing women. Does anybody have any questions before we turn it over to the signing portion?
I'm going to bring the microphone over.
Okay, yes.
Thank you, Darren. Thank you, Mom. And thank you, Elisabeth. My question is actually for you, Elisabeth, in terms of, because as her favorite son-in-law, I've had an opportunity to hear a little bit, because oftentimes time and place is not fitting. But as I said, I've had opportunity to hear a little bit. You've heard so much, and what are you, I'm sure you are, doing for your self-care as a result of what must have been an extremely hard story to hear?
Thank you for that question. I think while we were working on it in the beginning stages, when Diane was telling me her story, and hearing her and seeing her pain, feeling her pain with her, it was important to acknowledge and remind myself that that's her story, it's her experience, it's not mine. So my job was to just to be there to listen and not take it in as my own pain, because it belongs to her, her story. So I think going in with that in mind helped to keep myself safe, if you will, from some of that pain. Also, when we met, we always munched beforehand, and when emotions got high, we brought that smudge out again. I have a really wonderful support system and family, And we did put it aside for a little bit, some of the writing while I was pregnant, to keep that experience positive and safe for the babies. But mostly I felt safe and comfortable with Diane. So that gave me whatever strength I needed to work with that material. Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, back there.
Hi, Ani Wuju. First of all, I just want to say thank you to Diane and also acknowledging the elders in the drawing here. My question is in particular, like, what is one piece of advice you would say to someone, a woman that's kind of going through similar things? And then on top of that, what would you say advice to their children that are going through that process as well?
Thank you, Sadie, for that question.
I usually don't give advice. One of the things that doesn't help, and I think I wrote it in that book, never tell the person that's abused to leave the situation. That doesn't work, never does. I give resources, I do counseling, I listen to the person, I care. There's hope, there is hope. I experienced, that's not the word, it happened a few times. Women that came through the shelter, I would meet these women afterwards, they left the shelter. Sometimes I don't remember the name. There's so many people in my life that I've worked with. When I worked at the Health Science Center, I worked at the shelter or at the addictions places. But mainly in the shelter, I would meet these women. One of them really, I was so happy when I seen her. It was outside the store in a parking lot. Somebody was yelling at me, "Hey, Diane, here, I'm over here." And she comes running with open arms, and I didn't know what to say because I couldn't remember her name. "It's Jennifer," she says like that. "Look at me," she says. "I'm a social worker now. I bought a new truck and I'm going to be buying a house. I made a lot of changes. I'll never forget what you said to me. If I can make it, you can make it too." I remember those words. She says, I always remember them. And I brought tear to my eye. I was so happy for her. And there was others. I would meet them somewhere in the store, whatever. So just listen and be there. Know that you care. Yeah. When I first went to Al-Anon, this one lady, she was an Aboriginal woman. I remember the meeting was on courage. And I couldn't speak. I had my head down, and when it was time for me to speak, all I said was, it took a lot of courage for me to come here in a low voice. And all she did was put her hand on my knee. "I'll be thinking of you." And that meant a lot. Never ever call down that person that's abusing them. Does that answer the question?
All right, thank you. anyone else? Big up.
How long did it take the book to write?
That's a good question. It took quite some time. We met for a period of, let's say about a year. We worked on Diane telling me the story, and I recorded our sessions, our meetings, our time together, and then I would transcribe it, write it out, and then it took a few years before we had what you're looking at, I guess. So from that, we put it into order, and one of the things that took time was, it was really important for me to keep Diane's voice. I didn't want to take her story and change it in any way. So finding that balance took some time, that where Diane felt really confident and comfortable with the language, wanted it to be polished, of course, and professional, but it had to have her voice, it had to have that spirit that she carries. So I hope that we accomplished that you can hear Diane when you read that book.
I know Darren had the book and I was reading parts of the book, and it brought back my own memories of my abuse with my first partner, and then with my sisters also having abusive men in our lives, right? So it brought memories like that. Yeah. It's a real learning tool for women to break that cycle. I actually was from away. I was at the Spirit of Peace, of family violence prevention, like domestic violence. So we tried to help women at that time when I was one way. But I would, like what Diane said, I would not give them advice. I would just say, you have to make your own choices. Yeah. So make courage. Yeah.
Coach too.
Anybody else? Questions, comments? No? Okay. Oh, that one.
I would just like to say to Diane that I am very proud of you. Not only because you're an act of my sons, but because you were strong enough to live through the life that you did. I heard some pieces about your situation when you were living somewhere down, not on South Creek Avenue, but down that way near McGregor, I guess. And it wasn't women from Sagin, it was women from elsewhere. And at the time, I guess, it angered me so much to hear the physical violence that went with the abuse. Because women, mothers, grandmothers have gone through so much. But you are the first one that I know that has been able to put it in words so that other people can read and see and understand. And hopefully from that, parents will learn to tell their children the proper way to live. I would like to thank you very much on behalf of my boys who I try and teach how important it is to have women in their lives. They have me, they have their sisters, they have their daughters, they have their partners, and they remember their grannies. Like, you know, it's very good. It's very good. But we have to teach our kids how important. Because we are the life givers. We have to make sure that those lives are well taken care of, taught well. Ako si David ni Chine, way ik doing siya. O si Big Gadik, upanen, kagi because it just coming. Kaya yung maayayay. Kapitche, his own goddess. Egi shit twins, palaces, kaman, kinagay ko. A panay ko this, gigiwap me. Menonagos yan. Menobimatis yan, kikendak sunok, uganen, ni boitam. Pitche, weweni, giganay ni disoy. Pitche tebe, when it's shing tapita. Bapian, so mingwenyan, miwan in it, not kanaga doing the money. Menonagos yan. Weweni, nakachitas. Kaya bekskit doing, chibapian. Just me going. It's me wedge.
Thank you, Caroline.
Hi, Diane. On the lighter side of things, if your book ever was made into a movie, who would you want to play you?
That's a good question. I want to know the answer to that.
Debbie. You, Debbie.
There you have your answer. All right, it is now 8:15. We've gone a little bit over. So I'm going to hand it back into our host, our other host here to talk about what we can do for the signing part.
Huh? I got some water with him. We can sit over there, I guess, by the table, yeah, or where?
So thank you all so very much. Thank you, Darren. Thank you, Diane. Thank you, Elisabeth. Thank you, Chief Fontaine. Thank you to all who spoke here this evening. Thank you for all your questions and attention. Thank you for tolerating my clumsy settler tongue in presence. It's a real privilege and a pleasure to be part of this evening. And on behalf of the store, we could not be more thrilled to be a part of this incredibly powerful and beautiful books launch. So thank you very much. Also, much gratitude to UBC Press and Purich Publishing. Now, another testament to this book's power is the fact that over the last few days, as news of it has started to come around, people have been calling up the store and buying folders and 5s of it. So as you did notice, when we did come in this morning, we did sell out after around half of you had gathered here. So we are speedily rushing some copies in right away. So the one thing I will say is, if you have a book and would like it signed, please feel free to approach this table. Elisabeth and Diane will be sitting in these chairs here. If you don't have a book, but would like to get their signature this evening, we do have these cards. Oh, thank you, Darren. So those can be adhered to the inside of the book when it arrives. So you can get a signature on there, and you can visit any of the booksellers at the desk or at the cash desk, put down your name and number for a book, and we'll call you the moment they arrive here over the next few days. You can come and get your book and put the signature inside. We can also ship those books with the forks too, if that's easier for you to pick it up there. But I won't take up any more of your time. I will just express my extreme gratitude to everybody in this room and watching live on YouTube. And I'll ask you to join me one more time in a huge round of applause for Elisabeth Brannigan and of course, Diane Morrisseau. Thank you all.